Thomas, Percy, and James were all looking up at the early morning sky. "Everyone is happy when springtime comes," said Thomas. "Everyone except the Top Hat," said James. "He is working us way too hard. I'm tired of these coastal runs. He just wants to get everything ready for the holidays." "I know," said Percy, "but salty air is really good for me, and I really like it," said Percy. "Pa," said James. "He still works us too hard," said James. "Now, if you excuse me, I have to be on my way and get some freight cars." And so James puffed away to the harbor to collect his freight cars. James puffed away to the harbor to collect his freight cars. Thomas and Percy had to take empty freight cars to the scrap yards. Later, Thomas and Percy saw an old coach. She looked very sad. "What's the matter?" asked Thomas. "They call me Old Slow Coach because I'm not really useful anymore. Now the mice riding me." Then the foreman came by to see Thomas and Percy. "Excuse me," said the driver. "Can you tell us about this coach?" "Old Slow Coach," said the foreman. "She'll be broken up as soon as we find the time," he said. The engines were dismayed. "I wish there was something we can do to help you," said Thomas. But he didn't know how. Soon James was puffing along the line. "This is the life," said James, but he was heading for trouble. One of the fuel cars was leaking, and suddenly it caught fire. "Help!" cried James. Soon they reached the siding, and James's driver gave the alarm. "It's fuel, and it's dangerous," he said. Soon Thomas and Percy arrived, and there was a guard waving a red flag. Sparks from James's funnel had set the freight cars ablaze, said the guard. "The fire is under control, but it's quite a mess." "I thought the countryside got you all fired up, James," said Thomas. "Pah," said James. It's those stupid freight cars' fault, not mine," said James. It's safe to proceed now, said the fireman. Thomas and Percy now felt sorry for James. It wasn't that long until Thomas and Percy reached the station. Soon, Thomas and Percy were filling up with water at the water towers when they heard a commotion. "What's the matter?" Thomas asked. "It's another fire at the workman's hut," said the driver. "We better see what we can do." The fire engines had a big problem. "We are completely out of water," said the fireman. "We can't use seawater because that will clog our works," he said. "We'll just have to let that building burn." Then Thomas had an idea. "Why don't you use the water in our tanks? We've just refilled them," he said. The firemen wasted no time. "You are very clever engines," said the drivers. Soon the fire was out, but the hut where the workmen lived was destroyed. "The men can't sleep on the beach," said the foreman. "What about old slow coach?" said Percy. "She'll be perfect for the workmen," he said. "Comfy too," added Thomas. "What a good idea," said the drivers. And soon they telephoned Sir Topham Hatt, who agreed. "She'll be spick and span by the time you collect her," he said. And she was. "Thank you, Thomas," said Percy, said old slow coach. I wouldn't know what I'd do without you." "You're welcome," said Thomas. And the engines buffered up to her. And old slow coach set off for her new home. Everyone agreed that there is nothing old or slow about Coach, and she will always be very useful indeed. She'll always be very happy.